Aaron, Seven Horns, Seven Eyes works with a pretty substantial amount of Christian imagery in the songs. The band's name is based on a bit from Revelations. This would lead some internet message board denizens to label you guys a Christian metal act. How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, when we first started as Seven Horns back in, '06 era when that self-titled EP came out, for a while we were very okay with just being called a Christian band, because, I don't know, I mean, we're all Christians, and that's like, okay, whatever. If people want to call us that, then that's fine. We'll take that title. So the same is still true, that we're all Christian guys, but we try to really stay away from the whole tag of being, these guys are a Christian band, because for one thing, like that, there's so many people where immediately they just think in their minds, like, oh, Christian metal, it probably sucks. And honestly, like, I'm a Christian, and I'm kind of in that same camp. Like, if someone tells me, oh, there's this Christian metal band, my first thought is not, wow, they're probably amazing. My first thought is, there's probably a secular metal band who does their style better, Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, we try to not, like when you think about it, like, being marketed as a Christian band, the only real benefit is that, like, the young kids out there who are only looking for Christian bands, or maybe their parents will only let them listen to Christian music. I don't know. Like, those kids are going to find out about your band a little bit faster, maybe, but that's not really the point of what we're doing. We're not trying to just exploit a certain market, and just, get all the Christian kids to buy our CDs and just be like the coolest Christian band or whatever. Like, that's not really what we're doing. Like, we're passionate musicians, We're not making music just as like a means to preach to people or something like that. We're making music because we're passionate about it the same way that any other secular band is passionate about music. So, like, I guess if someone really wants to look at our lyrics and, just insist that, oh, yes, these guys are absolutely a Christian band, I don't care what they say, then, I mean, I'm not going to be able to convince them to stop saying that if they want to. But at the same time, I would just hope that our songwriting and our musicianship and all those things that we really care about, I would hope that those things would speak louder than some silly title that people decide to throw at us, In other lines of work, like, music is just one of the kind of this weird thing where, like, people always feel like, especially with Christians, they just need to categorize the music into, like, a Christian music category or Christian metal or whatever. But, like, if I went out and did something else in my life, and I was like an electrician or I was a plumber or whatever, like, be like, oh, is he a Christian plumber? Like, oh, is he a Christian electrician? Like, it just makes no sense. So, again, I don't want people to think that, like, oh, because we're Christians, we're inauthentic and we're just trying to force something down your throat, Like, hey, I'm playing music because I love it, Like, give me that credit, and then if you were really offended by my Christianity, then I'm just being honest with you. That's what I believe, So, hopefully that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So far, I think I've interviewed a dozen atheists and at least one or two Satanists on this show. I think it's only fair that we open the doors to a Christian viewpoint at some point on this show, too.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. We're all-inclusive here on The Nightmare. I promise this will be the last question on this particular topic, but the first thing that comes to my mind, and I'm willing to bet the minds of a few others when it comes to that Christian metal label, is Stryper. And at one point, you guys actually opened for Stryper. How did that gig go?
It was honestly a lot of fun. There was a lot of people at the show. Like, all kinds of old metalheads came out of the works, to come out and see Stryper play. And the Stryper guys, they're super nice guys. I'd never met any of them before, and, like, I didn't grow up listening to Stryper, so I didn't really have any, like, I didn't have any nostalgic feelings towards, like, oh my gosh, we're playing with Stryper. But it was a really fun show, and it was cool meeting those guys. And the crowd response was interesting, though. Like, I mean, we had some of our fans there, and of course they liked our music. And the Stryper crowd, though, it seemed like they were really, like, split about it. Some of the old metalheads, they're very kind of open to a more modern, death metal sound or whatever, and growling vocals. Like, some of those guys just latch right onto it and they think it's great. But then there's also some of those old school hair metal fans who just couldn't tolerate it at all. You could just tell some of them out there were hating it, and all they wanted to do was hear Stryper. So I imagine there was probably some people in the room who thought we were, like, okay, but it was just funny to see how some of these metalheads maybe had never heard anything quite like us, because
the stylistic difference between two bands is striking. So.
Yeah, it was a massive difference. So it just comes down to each person's personal taste, I guess.
Gotcha. You're listening to 13 Questions on Scary Terry's Saturday Nightmare. Scary Terry's Saturday Nightmare is a 3-hour metal show that's heard every single Saturday night between 9 and midnight Central Standard Time on Rock 94.7, 102.9 in Central Wisconsin, and worldwide online at rock947.com. Our interview with Aaron Smith of Seven Horns, Seven Eyes continues. Now, Aaron, Seven Horns, Seven Eyes current lead vocalist JJ Shiv Polacek, he sports an NES controller belt in your promo photos. Your brother mentioned playing Age of Empires on your official Facebook page. Any more gamers in the band that we should know about?
Shoot. I think those guys are probably the two biggest gamers for sure. I like video games, although I don't find that I have enough time to play them. You know, I mean, if I had a lot more time to play them, I would, but the last couple of years, I haven't played it near as much as I want to. Like, I'm a huge Halo fan, though, so, I mean, the whole reason I bought an Xbox 360 a few years back was just so I could get Halo 3. So, I don't know. That's one video game series that I'm always going to be right on top of, just because I'm so, like, you know, involved and mentally engulfed in the storyline. I guess Brandon's the biggest one, you know. Age of Empires, I have fond feelings about that game, too. I used to play friends of mine online, you know, via 56K modem back in 2002 and stuff.
And back in my day, I had to walk to the arcade with quarters in my pocket to play. So, yeah. So now, when you're on Xbox Live, do you ever game with fans?
That's actually a good idea. Like, I have not played anything on Xbox Live for a while, but Brandon's been playing Battlefield quite a lot, and that game is really cool. So if there's any gamers out there who are interested in playing with me or Brandon, or I don't know if JJ is on Xbox Live or not, but I would encourage you to hit us up on our Facebook and just, you know, give us your gamer tag. We're always down to play with fans. That could be pretty fun, actually. Yeah, because
what better way to meet new friends and new fans than by shooting them in the head in Battlefield? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron, you and your brother were recently nominated as delegates for Ron Paul at the Washington caucus. How politically active are the other guys in the band?
I guess Brandon and I would probably be the most politically active. I don't know for certain how active the other guys are, but I'm pretty sure me and Brandon are the most active. And so I wouldn't say we're even generally active across the board. I would just say that Ron Paul in particular has both been a very inspiring and refreshing figure for both of us, you know. So about 4 years ago is when he and Brandon and I both first were sort of exposed to Ron Paul and first started actually, you know, giving him a careful listening ear and whatnot. So just seeing how the media has treated Ron Paul throughout this whole campaigning process, this election cycle, it's just very unfair, you know. And it's just clear that the odds are against him, and that, like, no one's going to give him a fair shake. So that alone kind of motivates me to, you know, get up and just do what I can to contribute. And you know, if the media is not going to do Ron Paul any favors, and if the establishment is not going to be fair with him, like, the only thing that can help at all is for people like me and Brandon, you know, to get up and actually go out and be involved in the process as much as possible.
Aaron, we're going to dig into your pre-music past here. What's the last non-music related job you had?
The last non-music related job would have been Albertsons. So I don't know if Albertsons is as far east as Wisconsin, but it's basically like a grocery chain owned by SuperValue, I think, which is an East Coast chain. So I worked for Albertsons from about 2004 to 2010. So I worked my way up. I was ultimately one of the managers in the store when I left. So it was cool, you know. It was good money rolling in and stuff. And a lot of that money I made working in a grocery store enabled me to, you know, get a bunch of recording gear and build up my career in music and recording. So definitely have a lot of, you know, appreciation for that. But at the same time, I'm very happy to have moved on from it and be able to work on, you know, recording and music full time. The
question is then, when you go to the store, do you prefer paper or plastic, having had much experience with both?
Plastic's fine with me, although I have way too many plastic bags all stuffed in this one cupboard. So
what you need is either a dog or a child that produces a lot of diapers, and those will clear it up real fast.
Yeah, good call. I don't have a dog, but that would probably help.
There you go. Either that or just tell your brother to start leaving deposits everywhere. That could work too, I suppose. Aaron, final question. And you guys, you guys have been around since 2006 and whatnot. You're just getting your starts. You're just getting your legs here.
Yeah.
And this is a rare opportunity in the world of interviews where you actually get to have a say in the stupid questions that you're being asked by a dumb DJ. Aaron, is there a question you wish someone would ask you in an interview, but no one ever does?
I always enjoy talking about the songwriting process because I do a lot of the songwriting. And
well, let's talk about it then. What exactly is your process? How does Aaron Smith of Seven Horns, Seven Eyes come up with the ideas, with the songs that we're hearing tonight?
I tend to be most creative when I'm just sort of locked in my room by myself, and then I come up with some riff that's inspiring, and then I throw it into the computer and program some drums that go along with the vibe I'm feeling, and I totally can just kind of feed off my own creativity in that sort of setting. And so I write way better like that than I do when I'm just at practice with the rest of the guys, and just coming up with cool riffs on the spot when there's like four other guys standing around is it's just a totally different feel, So there have been a few times where I just sort of hear some rhythm or hear something in my head that seems cool, and sometimes those ideas pan out, and sometimes those ideas are not that cool once you actually work it out a little bit, Sometimes it's like, that was stupid, but I don't know. I'd say normally I'll just be sitting with my electric guitar, not even plugged in necessarily, and just be messing around with chord progressions, just simple stuff, and eventually something will maybe interest me. I'll be like, oh, that's a cool sounding chord. And then once I get that initial idea planted, then, like I said, I'll kind of throw it into the computer, try and get that section put together in the vibe I imagine. And then at that point, then my brain sort of starts to fill in more details. Like, I have one riff established, and then my brain already kind of knows what direction it should go in next. And so sometimes it almost feels like the music kind of writes itself, if I just listen to it and imagine it, all I have to do is just let my brain naturally do what it's going to do.
What's the oddest source of inspiration that you've grabbed a song from? I
guess the oddest would just be genres that no one would expect to inspire metal. I actually like Mariah Carey a lot. I only discovered that a couple years back, and of course some of her songs are not good, but a lot of that pop star music is written by really, really talented teams of musicians, guys who get paid ridiculous sums of money to write songs that are just smart, interesting chords and catchy melodies. So there's been times where a Rihanna song or I don't know, just stuff that you totally not expect, but there can be a cool chord change or something in it that sort of interests me, and then that'll, I don't know, just kind of inspire me to be like, man, I want to write something now. So maybe I'm the first musician to be inspired to write metal by Rihanna.
I think we just put your vocalist JJ on notice that he's got to start hitting some serious high notes in the next recording session.
Yeah, and he's got to wear a bikini and stuff too.
Fantastic. Aaron, you've been a good sport, man. That's Aaron Smith, rhythm guitarist for Seven Horns, Seven Eyes. Their debut full-length album, Throes of Absolution, hits stores on April 24th. We've been playing it on the Nightmare. You're going to love hearing it in your CD player or MP3 player. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And thank you for listening to 13 Questions with Scary Terry's Saturday Nightmare. We're a 3-hour metal show heard every single Saturday night from 9 until midnight on Rock 94.7 and 102.9 in central Wisconsin, and worldwide online at rock947.com. I'm Terry Stevens, inviting you to check out our other 13 Questions podcasts, featuring metal artists like Barney from Napalm Death, Martin from Asphyx, and tons of others. And please, when you get a sec, like Scary Terry's Saturday Nightmare on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter at TerryRock947. And join us next Saturday for 3 hours of metal on Rock 94.7. Thanks for listening.